Bam! I like it. Timed that perfectly. Fatality. Everybody, welcome to No Vacancy Live. Yes, it's true. This show is nothing to sneeze at. That's Anthony Melchiori. I'm Glenn Hausman. Great to see you today, buddy.
For those people listening, I hit mute, so
You
I
did.
sneezed exactly as we were coming on. But I did warn you, Glenn.
You did, but I'd already hit the go live button. There's nothing I could do. Fate was sealed the second I hit go live. Well, it's great to see you today. And Anthony, a lot is going on. And while we may be in what they call the dog days of summer here in August, it's also on the cusp of RFP season. And we're getting very close to the annual Global Business Travel Association's conference. And that's really an understanding of where global business travel is. Obviously, it's right there in the name and where we think it's going. So that's pretty interesting.
And let's make sure we define what RFP means.
Yep.
Request for proposal.
Yep.
And I will tell you for general managers and people involved in dealing with RFPs and managing RFPs and calculating how many RFPs we need. It's a stressful time of year. I have a really funny story about RFP season. When you want to hear it, let me know.
All right, let's hear it. Let's bring on our guest. Make sure you incorporate that story into it. Someone who's probably not too stressed because he's coming all the way from his hometown outside Athens, Greece. Lukasz Dabrowski. Lukasz of SVP Global Supplier Relations with HRS. How are you, sir?
Doing fantastic. Thank you very much. And surprised to see you both, gents. Is it no vacations for no vacancy live? What is this?
No one believes me. I haven't been on vacation in 5 years. Nobody believes me.
Yeah, well, the hotel business is so great. Can't find a room anywhere. What can I tell you, Lukasz? It's tough out there. Now, the last time though that you were on the show, I happened to see a clip of it. I was in Las Vegas at the time, so that was a pretty good trip that I was having there. So it's great to see you. Now, I know you're an active part of the Global Business Traveler Association, and you guys did a big survey together with each other, and I thought we'd talk a little bit about that. But where are we right now, do you think, with Global Business Traveler? What's the big headline that folks out there that are trying to sell hotel rooms should be thinking about?
The big headline is about business travel being firmly back at least 80% of 2019 versus what we see now already in 2023 projections, and ramping up real quick. But that comparison against 2019 is something that we should be letting go of in many ways as much as possible, because business travel and the way it's procured is changing big time.
It's tough, man. It took hoteliers, I think, about 10 years to let go of 2007. So, we got a little way to go.
Yeah. So explain to people how it works for those young junior managers that don't understand how it works.
Absolutely. So it's been a tradition for many, many years, and I'll be ironic about this, that global corporations would put certain people in charge in procurement and travel management to go out there and talk to suppliers to build a so-called hotel program. And that consists of all of the properties worldwide that are booked and used by a certain corporation. Now, this process is traditionally something that takes many months. And I like to say and joke about it, at the end of that period, leaving nobody truly happy. There is a lot of effort, there is a lot of conversations, there is plenty of dialogues, but there is basically various different expectations on both ends, usually contrasting with one another. And those ends need to be somehow met in a consensus towards the end of that process. That used to be the case up until recent. I think the period of pandemic has been a motivating time to drive and bring some innovation into the process, and also plenty of changes in the demand that we are experiencing right now are influencing how corporations and hotels think about the procurement process these days.
And so when we talk about the hotel procurement process in this context, we're talking about hotel rooms and major companies purchasing those hotel rooms. Lucas, we do a lot of coverage here of getting goods and supplies for hotels, so I wanted to make sure that we clarified that. So interestingly enough, that negotiating environment has kind of gone back and forth a little bit. Now, here in the United States, we're seeing kind of a transition. I'm curious if Europe is seeing the same thing, where transient business travel has been down, right? I see that on airplanes during the week, but smaller meetings are increasing in frequency and size. That's according to our friends over at Nolan. Are you seeing that on a global basis or in certain regions?
Transient business is climbing. As I said, it's currently reaching on average globally close to 80% of the pre-pandemic levels. Yep. There are certain verticals of the corporate business that are faster to ramp up than others. Technology is one of those that is really already almost on the same level as before the pandemic. Other verticals like professional services are still, closer to the 50%, 60% line. And meetings and groups back 100%. I confirm, absolutely, is the case. And there is a lot of correlation between the two as well, which is an interesting fact that we have been observing over the course of the recent months.
Yeah.
So what's going on with rates right now? We all know, after 2008, who was in charge, and then when things were great, we knew who was in charge. So who's in charge now?
Well,
I feel like it's the last moment of Rocky III where they're both like punching each other at the same time.
Well, it's certainly a super interesting moment for the industry, and this is the reason why, together with GBTA, we have interviewed, I think, 251 global travel managers and procurement experts to basically, get an idea of where we are with regards to this balance of power. And 77% say that the current negotiation environment would favor suppliers. So more than half also report difficulties in securing favorable hoteliers in the recent time. So this is where we're coming from. It's definitely the advantage to the supply world today, to the hotels. And that is based on a massive leisure surge that has followed as soon as the pandemic was out of the way. So the business travel is one of those segments that is slower to ramp up. Nonetheless, it is vital and truly important to a lot of the suppliers out there, definitely not to be missed off the radar, and coming back with a vengeance when it comes to new opportunities and new ways of contracting.
And new ways of contract, yes. And my question is, what is the best way this is for a young sales manager. What is the best way, once you have the RFP, once you have the contract, once it's in the system, that does not mean people are going to book you. That does not mean you're showing up and you're showing out, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
So what is your advice to a young sales manager to get that corporation's attention?
It's first and foremost, I think it's all in the data. It's about understanding the needs of that particular customer. So those needs can be anything from some of the priorities that we have isolated as the leading priorities of hotel accommodation purchasing these days, which is safety, security, sustainability, savings, and satisfaction. Every single one of the corporations would have a different setting across those 5 parameters. And some may go for price, some may go for the sustainability as priority. And even those who go for price may also have different ways of measuring the success in this particular field. Hard savings versus, for instance, low versus high availability. One of the big talking points in the course of this procurement process. So understanding the customer needs and developing a strategy that best addresses them in the course of the RFP process is the top recommendation.
Is the travel manager booking most of the rooms, or are the corporate employees booking their own room?
So depending on the policy inside any corporation, this can be a mix of multiple different scenarios. It can be the direct bookings coming from the agents of the company. They can be the travelers booking this booking accommodation themselves, and there can be agents of a third
But has the
party, of a
percentage
travel
changed?
management company.
But has the
The
percentage
percentage,
changed?
the percentage is changing big time towards the online booking, instant booking capabilities. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so we got this survey that you all did that's being done in conjunction with
Yes,
the
indeed.
GBTA that was just released last week, and the survey was done in May. And interesting, Anthony, we were talking about the give and take between negotiating, and the survey points to 77% saying negotiation environment favors suppliers, while 55% are reporting difficulty in securing favorable hotel rates in the past year. Particularly, Lucas, European-based travel buyers are finding 3/4 saying it's somewhat or very difficult to get favorable rates compared to about half of North American buyers based on the same opinion. Does that have to do with a supply of hotel room issue? I don't think it's a giant surge in travel.
No, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a major difference between the behavior of those two markets. Yes, there is
Right.
definitely differences on the supply level, but the problems, the issues are similar, and it is all about no vacancy, so availability issues, and understanding what those availability issues lead to in a corporate environment. So corporations would go out of their way today to put metrics against the availability of the preferred hotel portfolio, and make decisions based upon the findings. So nobody wants to wait these days if a non-performant hotel partner is not allowing enough availability for I don't know how many months to renegotiate and to reach a new agreement. The characteristics of the new reality is such that decisions are being made from one week to another. So it's become a lot more dynamic. It's become a lot faster, a lot quicker.
And the people making these decisions, the vice president of revenue management, the asset manager, everybody's making this decision, where it used to be the general manager and the revenue manager and the salesperson would sit down and make those decisions. Now there's a lot of people getting involved. There's a lot more analysis. There's a lot more, just a lot more thought into it. And the people that are doing it at a just different level. And so, like you said, it's like baseball today, right? Where everybody's got a card on their hand seeing how many times this guy hit the left field. It's the same thing. The analysis is insane.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So let me
Go ahead,
ask
Ben.
you, could you maybe share a little bit about what would qualify as a good piece of business versus a bad piece of business? And the reason why I say this is because last Friday I was with producer Dave, and we were doing a Friday night audit from the rooftop of the Dream Hotel, and our guest was Nathan Goodman, who does sales for Dream Hotels. And Dave is a former revenue manager, now GM. So he posited someone comes to you with 100 room nights on a Tuesday, and one person was jumping all over it while the other person was arguing that that's a terrible piece of business. So I'll leave it up to both of you. What's a good piece of business? What's a not good piece of business? Lucas?
So let me first start off with, it is not enough anymore to look at the weekly patterns of the transient business coming from a corporation. I think one of the things that we are looking at is called total account contribution in the hotel world.
Right.
And that is also something that has been one of the key findings of the research that we were referring to. So what the companies are doing these days, and let me just say, 84% of all of the travel decision makers that we have interviewed are still sticking to going through the negotiation strategy of the RFP process, despite the difficulties that they are encountering along the way. So what they're doing, what they're seeing as a major opportunity is bundling all of the business streams that they have available within their organization. They can be transient, and here we're talking about a certain weekly pattern, yes, but there can also be meetings and groups, there can also be long stay projects, et cetera, to increase their leverage, to increase their buying power, and to find the most relevant supplier on the other end who will be ready to take that business and benefit from the fact that the corporation would then narrow down the community of their preferred suppliers. So there is a win-win, a very clear win-win in this equation.
Yeah,
Anthony, what do you think?
Yeah, and that's basically that's the right answer. That's a great answer. When you're looking from the hotel perspective, you have your report in front of you, my Oscar I have in front of me, and it tells me 6 months or 12 months out where I'm at. So if that piece of business is on a Tuesday, on December whatever or January whatever date it is, and it looks like it's going to hit my average rate, it's going to look like it's going to put enough compression depending how many rooms I have. So if I have 300 rooms in a hotel, 100 rooms for a group, on a Tuesday may or may not be the right thing to do. But if I have 2,000 rooms in a hotel on a Tuesday, and again, am I a weekend hotel? Am I a leisure hotel? Am I a corporate hotel? So you can't make that decision whether it's a good piece of business or a bad piece of business. I'll give you an example. It was there was a show, a reality show, a Top Chef, that wanted to stay in our hotel for 3 weeks, and it was in August, and it was for 100 rooms. And Justin, my director of sales, came to me. I went to the owner. I said, "Hey, we're taking this piece of business. I know it's low rated, but we're taking it." He said no. I said, "Justin," it was a Sunday night. "Justin, meet me at the Intercontinental in Times Square." He did. We sat there. I said, "Explain to me why I should do this and just go against everybody's telling me not to do it." He explained it to me. I took the piece of business. It was the best piece of business I've taken that summer. And I didn't listen to anyone because I had him explain it to me in detail, and we won. But nobody else wanted that piece of business. So every piece of business is got to be surgically, cut open and looked at.
I would also add, Anthony, great comment. I think the other thing is, we are so enthusiastic about business coming through our door after the pandemic, the long period of drought, that it's worth keeping in mind that what seems like a good piece of business as a one-off may not fit in well with the longer term strategy, right? And the beauty of the corporate business is that it's repeat business. It's
exactly right. But unfortunately, in this day and age, with expenses going through the roof and with asset managers really controlling a lot, you got to make this month's budget. You got to make this week's budget. You got to make this year's budget. And it's sometimes these decisions are being made, just like that. They're just being made that this is what is saving the day today. I'll worry about tomorrow. That's not the right strategy, but a lot of that is what's happening.
It's understandable in some cases because you are running the highest operational cost since 15 years. The average operational cost is at above 50% again, globally.
Yeah, I don't understand the sales managers that they don't go and work the piece of business when things are good. You never hear from them. When things are bad, they go and beg for the piece of business. And you're laughing because you see that every day. And what I always did, and I made a point of doing this, that in the good times, we always had parties. We always brought lunch in to the corporations, and we always let them know that we appreciate them. And we gave them the least amount of pricing increase the next year, even in good times. We always made sure our good clients had the least amount of increase. So when it's bad times, they call me. I don't call them. And they say, "Anthony, don't worry, we'll take care of you." That's the way a sales manager is supposed to behave, in my opinion.
Yeah. Lucas, I guess you agree.
I left them speechless.
I know.
Am I right? Wait, Lucas, we can't hear you. People on our podcast, most people listen. They can't see your facial expression. So do you agree or disagree?
No, I definitely agree. All I'm saying is, let's really very carefully watch our availability metrics with regards to, again, accommodating the corporate business, the longer term relationships, and look for those opportunities that are coming on the back of the new developments in the procurement world of hotel lodging. And as I said, Number one will be the converged demand. Number two will be the new dynamics. So an opportunity to win business quicker without have to go through the 9 months of fruitless negotiation. That is now accelerated big time. There are many companies, many corporations that are not willing to wait anymore, and just go in line with how their demand ticks, positive or negative.
So what was that? So they're not willing to wait anymore. I've been out of doing RFPs for a long time. So how are they doing it? So if they don't do the RFP, how does that work?
So they can still do RFPs for their most popular destinations, but for the destinations where they don't have enough buying power, or for destinations that experience some kind of a change in demand, they will rely on pre-negotiated rates. They will go after a program that has been pre-negotiated on their behalf and made available across those destinations without having to go through the RFP process. So that's one of the ways of making the travel streams far more dynamic than they used to be.
So what happens nowadays when they see lower rates online than they have negotiated? What do they do?
So today, I like to think of the environment where, travel program is well regulated and compliant. So a professional travel program would incorporate end-to-end services that would promote offers that fly below the negotiated rate whenever they are available, provided that the perks, the contents of the offer, the amenities, the terms and conditions remain the same. And in a well-regulated environment, in a professional end-to-end travel environment, that is perfectly possible these days.
Yeah. All right. Before we wrap up, I got one more question that I don't think we really got into. I've been looking at this press release and stuff that you put out, and you're talking about to shift to the idea of breaking up silos and creating converged hotel program management. What does that really mean practically, and how should people start thinking differently than they have for the last 20 years because of this?
That is a great question, Glenn, because the background, the sort of the historical view of this is that the corporation was not really able to consolidate that on their behalf. You have a very clear responsibility historically for the transient business that sits with a central team, and it's very professional. It's very centrally handled, and it's been like that for years. While the meeting business and the long stay business is often governed and owned by regional offices, by other departments, by people in marketing, people in HR, not in travel. And sometimes those people don't even speak to the travel managers. We have actually found out that there is a very small percentage, 1/3, that would have those regular conversations with the travel managers for the meetings and the long stay business. So companies realizing the opportunity in the converged demand, bundling it, and then stepping up.
So let me see if I get this. So, I've got a regional guy that's in charge of 1,000 rooms. This woman's in charge of 1,500 rooms. Someone else got the conference that's 3,000 rooms. If I put them all together, now I got a whole lot more rooms, which means higher buying power and a stronger negotiating position, correct?
Yes. And if you pick the right suppliers who are capable of catering for those types of demands, you can also narrow down the pool of your preferred suppliers. So give more to fewer preferred suppliers, which is, as I said in the beginning, a clear win-win to parties involved.
But that's a really good point. What's capable of, because one of the relationship strains, again, when I was doing this every day, was this is what we can contribute, and then they don't contribute it. And that is, if you ask me, what is the biggest problem from a hotel operator's standpoint, that's it. That they promise, especially people that maybe are new or a new hotel, they're trying. It's kind of like a wedding group. They said there's going to be 1,000 people and only 5 people show up. So for the group. So what do you think about that? Is that gotten better?
That's definitely gotten better. I think the improvements are also in data, in how the customer is understanding their true demand, and that comes through the analysis of various different sources, not just the traditional sources as in booking data, but also payment data, which is super valuable to any travel manager, any procurement expert. You can actually tell where people are really going, where they are really staying, and calculate your true potential based on that. So it's become a lot more accurate.
Right. That makes sense. Technology is really opening doors in every single category when it comes to travel and hospitality. But looking forward, as we start to see more of these tools come to the fore, how do you think it's going to shape and affect the way business is done between companies and hotels?
I truly believe that automation is the dominating power over the course of the next years to come. Anything that can be automated in the process of procurement, anything that is a straightforward transaction in a known environment, I think should be automated. And also the expectations of corporations is such that once automated, it will be available in an instant booking format that goes not just for the transient piece, but also for the meetings and groups. I think 80% of all of the meetings and groups booked are below 50 in terms of attendees. And that is something that can be perfectly well automated without the need of consuming additional resources on the human side.
Right. Interesting. Any more questions?
No, I'm just curious of how AI eventually is going to get involved in all this.
Yeah.
I'm certain it will. It already is getting involved. So watch this space.
Yeah.
It's always good to see you.
Absolutely. All right. So before you go, Lucas, now Lucas is going to be back towards the, in December sometime, and he's going to come back and share the actual findings as negotiations are wrapping up for 2024. So today was a little bit theoretical. Come back in December, it'll be a little bit more actual, but you're also going to be the Global Business Travel Association convention August 13th through 15th in Dallas. So if you really, want to get good, authentic sweat going on, go to Dallas in the middle of August. But go see Lucas over there too. You excited for the event? You think it's going to be bigger, stronger, more positive than ever?
I'm confident. It's always been a great show, and Dallas is ramping up despite the heat. It's ramping up in a fantastic way. So always a very productive time. Please come and see us. Yes.
Yes, for sure. All right, Lucas, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you.
Real pleasure, John.
Thank you. Man, one of the things that I love about this is he's in Greece. He's on another continent talking to us about all of this kind of stuff. It's pretty exciting over there. Well, we got news here. Over 1,000 travel buyers are already committed to attend the Global Business Travel Association meeting. That's going to be a pretty exciting event. I've been to a couple of them, Anthony. It's fun.
Do you think that number will make CNN or Fox News today, that breaking news?
No. They're too caught up with other stuff. Well, I talk about the positive when you can go straight for the, the blood on the streets kind of headlines over there. All right, everybody, if you want to get the straight hospitality scoop, make sure that you follow us online. Here's my incorrect graphic. We still got to change this over here, but we are on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, wherever you get your audio downloads. We are there. He's at Anthony Hotels. I'm at Traveling Glenn. I know we're both on the, what's that new one that we're on right now? Threads. We're both on the Threads over there.
We're both on the thread over there. You sound like hey, Suzanne, get Suzanne on. We got to get that young lady who did our graphic to update it for us.
I can take care of it.
That would have been a few more. That would have been me.
Yeah. Okay. I need a few more weeks of claiming. I'm gonna get it done.
Yeah. So let's just get it done because we'll
add it to the list. We'll make it happen.
All right, everybody. Let's go. Let's get out of here. All right, everybody. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
See you all next week.